Hello, good evening. Welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live morning news up here at Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5. Today, the 26th of July 2023. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. You can also watch our live stream on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram on at 3FM 927. That's at 3FM 927. Coming up this evening, 3 military officers and 3 civilians standing trial over attempted robbery of a mining company granted bail to reappear in court on August 21. We have the latest on this particular story here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also to the new patriotic party. Kennedy Ohinia Japan takes number 1 slot. Alan Chamanting number 2. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia goes number 10 as the last. As the steering committee of the governing New Patriotic Party conclude balloting ahead of the special delegates conference. Stay with me here on Hot Edition. We have details of the balloting process and what all the aspirants are making of the numbers they have picked, with Kennedy Ohinia Japan picking number 1. And we've had his supporters already pulling up the Esroho slogan, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia picking number 10. And his supporters as well pulling up the Asiaho slogan. We'll hear from Alan Chamanting as well, number 2, what they intend to make out of that particular number going into that contest here on Hot Edition. Also, the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has given a 2-week ultimatum to Cocoa Board to submit the audited report on the cocoa roads. Details coming up shortly on Hot Edition. We have business, sports, and entertainment with us here in the next 60 minutes. Stay with us. I am Alfred Ocansey. Let's get into the details now here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Remember, we're very, very interactive. As always, you can share your thoughts on the issues we're going to be talking about this evening. Plus, we have also a twist to the Cecilia Dapa saga and how things are playing out. Some anti-corruption crusaders are asking that this lifestyle audits by the special prosecutor should be extended to all 7 public officers, civil servants, ministers, members of parliament, to ascertain the source of their lifestyle. Stay with me. We're getting to all of that here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. But let's go straight to the New Patriotic Party, because the steering committee of the governing NPP has concluded balloting ahead of the special delegates conference of the party. The party leadership, tasked with organizing the elections, has been meeting again this afternoon with the presidential aspirants over a number of modalities before August 26. My colleague Noble Crosby was at the party headquarters. He's been monitoring this crunch meeting quite closely. Joining me in the studio for a bit more detail on this. Crosby, let's start off with the order in which the aspirants are falling now. We understand the balloting has been done. Which positions does these, at least the key persons we know,
So, Alfred, today's meeting at the NPP headquarters was generally to fine-tune the modalities going into the August 26 general elections. And the question you asked about the balloting and the positions of these aspirants on the paper, we know that in Ghana, numbers play a very momentous role in elections, whether it is real or perceived, and the appearance or the order of the aspirants on the ballot paper also equally very, very significant. So, we're seeing Kennedy Japan, he picked the number 1 position, so he would appear as number 1 on the ballot paper for the special delegates conference. Alan Chamanting picked number 2. Jogate is number 3. Kujo Nsafapoku, the energy analyst, is number 4. Dr. Uswefrie, the former Greek minister, number 5. Kwabena Ejapong, number 6, the former general secretary of the party. In number 7 position is Francis Adainimo. We're also seeing Dr. Kofi Konedu Apreku picking the number 8 position. Then Boachi Chamanting Ejako picked the number 9 position. His Excellency Dr. Bawumia picked the number 10 position. So this is the arrangement of the individuals on the ballot paper on August 26. Number 10 is Dr. Bawumia. Kennedy Ohine Japan is number 1, and Alan Kojo Chemanting is number 2. And Alfred, you know that these three individuals are the names that a lot of polls are putting as the top 3 going into the flag bearership race of the NPP. Today at the party's headquarters, 7 of them were present and 3 of them were represented. So that is the order as to which they would appear on the ballot paper. Kennedy Japan as number 1, Alan Chemanting number 2, Joe Gatti number 3, Kojo Poku number 4, Dr. Owusu Koto is number 5, Kwabena Ejay Ejapon is number 6, Francis Adai Nemo is number 7, and Dr. Kofi Konedu Apreku is number 8. Bwachi Chemanting Jako number 9, Dr. Bawumia is number 10. And as expected already, Alfred, the candidates and their fans and their supporters, they are already putting some interpretations or some spins to the numbers.
As expected.
As expected. So those who pick number 1, they say number 1 means the first position. Number 7, those who pick number 7 say 7 is a perfect number. And then Dr. Bawumia, this team is also saying Fanaform, the popular song Fanaform Asiaho. So that's the spins that they're putting on the number game.
Interesting stuff there. Let's stay with me, Crosby. Let's hear from Alexander Fenyomarking, who was there at the party headquarters as well. He's a spokesperson for this committee. Let's hear from him, shall we?
Nagging issues and incorporated same in the guidelines. We've agreed that the Electoral Commission is going to take charge of the elections and see to all the security arrangements as well. Party agent of the aspirant will also oversee to the printing of the ballot papers. So the ballot papers won't be printed by the party. It will be printed by the Electoral Commission. And all that we would do is to furnish them with the details of the aspirants, including their pictures. We've given them the type of picture they are supposed to bring. So everything has been agreed upon. The notice of polls would be put out. Proxy has been agreed upon. There's going to be proxy, and notice will be issued. And deadline for all proxies will be on the 2nd. And all proxy lists will be furnished the aspirants. We also agreed to ensure that the list of delegates, the album in this case, will also be furnished the aspirants. Now, let me inform you the order that the aspirants will appear on the ballot papers. Ken Ohine Japan, number 1. Alan John Kojo Chemanting, number 2. Joe Gatti, number 3. Kojo Poku, number 4. Dr. Owusu Koto, number 5. Kwabena Ejay Ejapon, number 6. Francis Adai Nemo, number 7. Dr. Kofi Konedu Apreku, number 8. Bwachi Chemanting Ejako, number 9. His Excellency Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia, number 10. So this is the order that the aspirants will appear on the ballot paper from 1 to 10. So it's been signed by the Vice Chair of the committee and the Electoral Commission Director of Operations. I must say that the balloting was successful. We did a first round of balloting where the aspirants picked the order in which they will pick their positions. So the ballot papers went round. In fact, they picked them randomly themselves. And then when we were able to determine the order in which they were going to pick their positions and they were satisfied, we rolled out the second phase of the process, which now allowed those who picked certain numbers to pick in that order, and they did so in 10.
Well, so that's Alexander Afenyo marking there, giving details of the balloting process, how all of that played out earlier today at the party headquarters. Now, you're saying that some of the aspirants had their supporters there, and already they're making meaning of the positions on the ballot paper.
The various meanings, whether they translate into the vote or not, well, they'll be in a better position to tell us. We know that in Ghanaian elections, you can't do away with the numbers.
Absolutely.
And as always, whether the effect of these numbers are real or perceived, well, so far as they've traveled with us from 92 to 2000, so all the elections we've had up to this time, then it means there's some, effect to the elections we run here. So, like I said, Dr. Bamia, a few of the supporters were there, started chanting Fanifom, Asiaho, and all of the Canadian Japan. A few of the supporters were there, said, number one, Estrohonoma, as in the first, it means you're winning the election. When I spoke with Kwabneja Japan, he picked number 6 and he interpreted it as though he's winning. So a lot of them, they're putting various spins, and then it will intensify in the coming days. Already I've seen some on social media. I've seen some supporters of Dr. Bamia saying that, attributing it to the numbers in football. So, Messi wears number 10. World Pele, the late World Pele wears number 10. Maradona wore number 10. Zidane number 10. A lot of the big names in football
also the DAIU wears number 10. I mean, I'm just saying.
And then Dr. Bamia is also the number 10.
just so you know. I mean, it's just by the way. I mean, but there were quite a number of things to be addressed, is it not? I mean, the voter album, for instance. Do we know if that was given to the aspirants?
So you know that the party indicated that the voter album, which will be made of the pictures, will be made available to the aspirants on or before the 26th of July 2023, which means today, a month before the election. So engaging with the aspirants, for instance, Engineer Kobna Eje Japan told us that the party has told them it is ready, so they can come with their pen drives for it. We also spoke with the spokesperson of the election committee of the party, and he indicated that, I mean, the hurdle they had to cross was to get the balloting done and the positions done. That has been accomplished. So with issues concerning the voter register, there was an agreement as to when they'll come for it. So there's no issue with that. So that indicates that maybe it is available but yet to be given to the aspirants, or there's some fine-tuning or some minute details that are currently needed before it is given to the aspirants. But the consensus is there that it is available for them.
Let's hear from Kwabneja Japan on this.
It's a sanitized election, and the Electoral Commission is in control of the process, and everything is going well.
I think have the photo album yet?
Not yet, but they've told us that we can come and receive it from tomorrow. It's available. We bring our pen drives, we can pick it. So,
are you satisfied with the engagement with the elections commission?
Very, very satisfied.
What was your number on the ballot?
You want me to show it to you?
What was your number on the ballot?
Number 6.
Number 6. What does that mean to you?
It means I'm going to win.
I see. So that's Kwabneja Japan
Yes,
there in that exclusive interview with you. I see. Good stuff there. But so, do we know when next they're meeting?
So from the spokesperson of the committee indicated that there will be several engagements between themselves and the flag bearer aspirants before the day of the election. Mind you, there are a lot of concerns from the party, also from the aspirants. So there's still some differences to iron out, but all indications show that they are on the right path. All is good, all is well. There are no bad blood between any of the aspirants. The party has, in their guidelines for the election, the party emphasized that they would not tolerate, the bickering that come during such processes. So it appears that all is good for the party, and there will be more of such engagement between the election committee, the steering committee of the party, and the aspirant, all 10 of the aspirant. And they are also very confident that the process will be smooth for them, such that on August 26, when the Superdelegates Conference is held, it will be free and fair, and the right 5 people to go onto the main ballot paper on November 4 will be made available.
Great stuff. Noble Crosby Anana, thank you so much. He was there at the NPP headquarters for us, monitoring this crunch meeting of the steering committee of the party that saw as well the balloting for the positions on the ballot paper for the that's the delegates conference to elect the presidential candidate of the NPP. You will run through the positions so you know who is number 1, who is number 10, who is number 2, and so on. And that's what we've seen play out. But let's hear from Alexander Penyomaki, who speaks for this election committee of the NPP on that as well. He answered questions on the next step for the party and its steering committee.
Thank you so much indeed.
No, did the aspirants sign any undertaking?
To do what?
I mean, as part of your guidelines, we were told that...
you were told by who?
I mean, as part of your guidelines, it was indicated that anyone
It was indicated by who?
By what you publish.
What did you publish?
Anyone who does not make it or fails in his bid will support the eventual winner.
Who said what?
That was in the undertaking.
That was wait.
It was signed by the general
undertaking by who?
It was your point 5 in the guidelines for the primaries for the president. That all the aspirants be required to sign an undertaking.
Which undertaking is to the effect that?
To support whoever wins the election.
No, but those are... No, please. Deal with the issue of balloting. That is today's item. Let's go step by step. We've had a fruitful engagement. 7 aspirants were present. 3 were represented. Today is a major phase. We've completed this phase. We are going to have another engagement with them. If we get to any point of relevance of which you have inquired, we would duly announce that to you. All right? All right. What I'm saying is this: that as part of the processes, aspirants will be furnished with the album. I said so, and I'm sure I was very clear. Therefore, let's take one step at a time. Today, we have done the balloting. It's been very successful. All of them are happy. We've built consensus on the guidelines, and we are going to move on accordingly. So fear not, worry not. Let's take one at a time. Thank you very much.
That's Alexander Penyomaki speaks for the election committee of the NPP. We're still live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live as well on KESME 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in One Beyond. I am Alfred Ocansey. Let's get into some more issues and back to the developing story that's actually getting a lot of legs and angles every day. Cecilia Dapa and the matters arising with her stolen $1 million, 300,000 euros, and the thousands of CDs plus some other items, and questions that the special prosecutor is asking now with the audit, the lifestyle audit. In fact, the also special prosecutor says it is continuing with investigations of the former Sanitation and Water Resources Minister, Cecilia Dapa, and will brief the public when investigations are concluded. A statement by the Office of Special Prosecutor this morning, which we have a copy of, we'll put on our Facebook page shortly, amidst heightened public interest, assured of continuous probe into the development. After spending about 5 years at the Sanitation and Water Resources Ministry, Cecilia Dapa is subject for investigation because of matters arising. One thing we do know is that there is a lifestyle audit that the special prosecutor has initiated into Cecilia Dapa's lifestyle. There's been that call for this lifestyle audit to be expanded to also be conducted on ministers of state, in fact 7 public officers, ministers of state as members of parliament, and then also civil servants as well. Let's go on to the telephone. Professor Eric Entry is the head of the business department of the Academic City University, but he is a public policy analyst and also an anti-corruption crusader, joining us on the telephone. Professor Entry, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot Edition. First of all, how does the narrative that the money that was stolen and reported in Cecilia Dapa's bedroom belongs to her late mom, her late brother, and her husband, and so this is not an issue, does that narrative make sense to you?
Yes, to a large extent, it makes sense that somebody who thought she was a victim and went to complain is now accused, and because he's a public officer. If you look at what is going on now, there seems to be a lot of talks, outside talk, but the facts are clear. Public officers are stewards, and a steward hold a position in account or in trust for the people. So if you're a public servant, there's supposed to be a modest lifestyle for you. A clear example is the former Chancellor of Germany, Angela Merkel. When people, pointed to her that she was wearing similar clothes the same day, she said, "I'm not a model, I'm a public servant." That's what leaders do, they model the way. So if we have public servants whose handbags, whose clothing, and we've seen this from the charge sheet, are so expensive, they are buying the most expensive things in society, then we have a problem. We should begin to question that kind of lifestyle. So I recommend the Special Prosecutor's Office for that bold initiative. And the code of conduct that we have for public servants, it does not state how they should dress or their lifestyle. But when they are living this kind of lifestyle, that stacks of money are being found in their homes, and that expensive jewelries and bags, and we know how much they earn, then the people should begin to get worried about that kind of lifestyle, and how do we stop it? Is it coming from the people's expectations of the leaders that is making them behave that way? That if you're a leader, you have to wear the most expensive clothes, the most expensive, bags and the wigs and all these. Is that what we expect from our public servants? So I think it's a call in the right direction. But for the money issue, the signals we are getting now, the message and the press releases we've seen from the Special Prosecutor's Office shows that there are other significant amount of money found with the same person. I don't know. But maybe when your cup is full, because you reported that your 1 million has been stolen and 300,000 euros added to that, and now we are finding more money. I will call that we should begin to inspect the homes of public officers. We should also extend, I agree, that we should also extend that kind of conduct, the way we expect public officers to conduct themselves, we should extend it to all public officers. If we don't do that, this trend is going to continue. It's not going to help our country. Because if you're a public officer, you are not supposed to be keeping a lot of money in your car and then in your house. We have the banks, and the banks should be holding money, not in our homes.
I see, but then I asked that earlier question, and your answer to it seems to suggest others. Are you saying that you would support or agree with anybody who pushes the narrative that the money found in Cecilia Dapa's room belongs to her late mother, her late brother, and her late husband, so there's really no issue? You're going to support that explanation?
That's the typical propaganda and brainwashed idea. Who will believe this? For your late mother's funeral and your brother's funeral, and you got $1 million and 300,000 euros and other money. I listened to Danko Kuyabwa at one of the sister stations saying that even Bob Marley's funeral did not generate $1 million. Which funeral in Ghana will you receive donations of $1 million? How? I mean, they should tell it to the dogs. Nobody will listen to this. What do they take Ghanaians for? Ghana is one of the highest educated people in the world. People are educated. Let's tell the truth. If I was the minister, the ex-minister now, I will come and tell Ghanaians categorically where is the source of that money, how I made that money. If it is coming from government, now that you are no more in government, say it is better to die with your dignity than to let yourself alone be sacrificed for the others. So if it is government money, let the people know. But it can never be a funeral donation money. That nobody will believe. Anybody who is coming from that angle, there's no logic behind it.
I see. Well,
so you will not believe it.
That's a narrative or an angle that's widespread, and you have those who appear to be defending this particular development or defending.
It is a false narrative. It is coming from a wrong premise. It's not going to fly. So whoever devised that idea, it will not fly with logic and critical thinking. There will never be any funeral that you have money $1 million and 300,000 euros plus 3.5 billion Ghana cedis stuck in your house, and then at another house there has been a magnificent amount that has also been discovered that very soon the special prosecutor is going to reveal. I know there are speculations around there from $9 million to, people are speculating, but until we get the facts, we cannot talk about the amount. But what I'm saying is that there will never be any funeral that somebody will get an amount. Then everybody will go and kill their relatives. This is not something that is going to fly. We should stop entertaining those ideas. Tell the truth, because Ghanaians know the truth.
Essentially, you support the call that this lifestyle audit should be, the boundaries of it should be expanded so that even public officers, ministers, MPs, civil servants should all be subjected to a lifestyle audit?
All of them should be subjected to a lifestyle audit. They should lead a modest life. That is what leadership is about. You model the way. So if you lead a modest lifestyle, it will help the citizens to also lead that kind of modest lifestyle. The president made it in his inaugural address that if you need money, it's not public service. Go to the private sector. If a private person buys a car or a private jet and they have worked for it and we know the source of their income is genuine, nobody has a problem. But if you're a public officer and a private person goes to buy a Lamborghini and then the next day another public officer has bought the same Lamborghini, that's a lifestyle. See, there's a clear difference between a need and a want. I went to Minnesota one time to buy a car. And then they have written there at the car dealership that we sell needs here, we don't sell wants. We sell wants, we don't sell needs. And I was looking at it, what is the meaning of this? So I asked the guy, the manager, why are you saying that you sell wants here and then you don't sell needs? He said, if you need a car just to go to work, that's a need. You can use, a used car is okay for you. But here we sell expensive cars, $1.5 million, $1 million. These are wants. They are not needs.
I see.
So if our politicians are leading a wants life, but not a needed life, it is a danger to our society because poverty is always staring at every Ghanaian at the face. And the least we expect from our political leaders and those in public service is to live that kind of lifestyle that does not match the salary that we pay them.
I see, but then again, I've had people also make reference to the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, which is in Parliament. There's not been so much commitment to get this passed because the likes of you, anti-corruption crusaders, say that it is going to check the conduct of public officers, and so members of Parliament don't have any real commitment to get it come through. The IMF, in its document, is urging government to ensure that this Conduct of Public Officers Bill is passed into law. We have all the fine laws in this country. If this bill is passed into law and it is not implemented effectively, Prof, we still come back to square one, is it not? And really, we can't win this fight against corruption.
You see, I've entertained this idea that even our parliament is a part-time job. They sit for 6 months in a year, and the rest of the 6 months, they are home, supposed to be in their constituencies. So parliament is a part-time job. Secondly, parliamentarians should not run more than what the president do. We should give them 2 terms and they're out. There are many things we need to change in our constitution. It's been sitting there for a long time, a lot of things. We should never have a minister coming from parliament. Never. Because it defeats the purpose of checks and balances and separation of powers. That should not happen in our constitution. So there are a lot of things we should do in our constitution. But coming back to the conduct of the public officers, the IMF has seen that our public officers are not conducting themselves well, especially when it comes to money and showism in public places. We've had situations where monies have been paid from individual, public servant booths in their houses that we are talking about, and a lot of situations where we see that people are asking the source of their money. And I have been to many funerals where politicians come and people are giving 10 Ghana cedis, 20 Ghana cedis, 50, 100 Ghana cedis. These politicians are giving 4,000, 5,000, 10,000. So everybody is inviting a politician to their funeral because they can get bigger donations. The other side of our moral deficiency is why are people not questioning the source of that income? Well, we knew somebody who could not afford to pay 100 Ghana cedis at a funeral. Now the same person is giving us 4,000 Ghana cedis at a funeral. Are we not asking questions? We should all be critical friends. So yes, we have lofty ideas. The IMF have seen that if we don't pass this, the money that they are giving to us, the same public officers, we steal it because research is clear. 25% of even donor money that comes to Africa, that's a quarter of it, ends in individual pockets. So, Alfred, we are enemies of ourselves. We are enemies of ourselves. When people are struggling, children are going to school under trees, and we can find $1 million in somebody's house, we have a problem. And people are justifying this? People are justifying this? I don't know. But if this is politics, then we have got the wrong side of politics. So, yes, every public official, their conduct should be scrutinized. And in doing so, it should extend to members of parliament, directors of institutions, board chairs, all these individuals. We should scrutinize their accounts. If you look at the kind of ostentatious life that they lead, even the kind of wine that they drink, when children are still begging on the street, when children are still carrying cocoa, when people don't know what they will eat the next day. In this 21st century, Alfred, nobody is supposed to be carrying things on their head and selling. We should be using the head to learn. Look at blockchain. Look at financial technology. PayPal last year earned $50 billion and employed 100,000 people. What are we doing? We have so much brilliant individuals here. We have messed up our education system because we politicize it. People are even afraid to speak to power because they fear for their lives. We have politicians who are bullies. They do the wrong thing. They don't want you to talk about it. But if we, the people, made you the leader and we who put you there cannot talk about it, when you needed us, you came to the grassroots and begged us to vote for you. Now that you are there, we can't criticize you when we see something wrong.
Wow. Professor Eric Ocansey, I appreciate your time.
The name is Enoch, Professor
Enoch Ocansey, I thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So much. And Professor Enoch Ocansey is a anti-corruption crusader, also a lecturer at the Academic City University, and then also the convener of the Ghana Waste Project. That is the wastage of public resources, the Ghana Wastage Project, sharing his thoughts. Very passionate thoughts with us on this matter here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. So many of your messages coming through on Facebook. It's at 3FM 927. This one here from Silvanos Asiome says that you've done some very good mathematics on this, and I'll leave the figures out, but all you're saying is that all things being equal, based on the formula you used, most teachers will have to work for 250 years to get what Cecilia Dapa kept in her bedroom. Okay, thank you, Silvanos Asiome. Thank you for your message. This one here says that I support the call that all public officers should be subjected to the lifestyle audit. We see the opulence and the profligacy that they all exhibit, and we've been quiet for so long. Please speak about it. Thank you. Thank you for your message as well. Appreciate it. Okay, so we'll get into some of the messages as and when they come through, but this one will go straight to the Ashanti region, where 3 million officers we understand have actually gone through the process of screening and gone through some integrity processes, which have led to questions that were asked about what has to be done to improve the public's confidence, especially in the military, actually also being addressed. And that's what we've seen over the period, and we'll get to the region shortly to get some quick updates, because there is an issue that has come up with the arrest of some 3 military officers and 3 civilians standing trial over attempted robbery of a mining company, granted bail to reappear in court on August 21. In fact, the military officers and their civilian counterparts were arrested on July 5 at Eboakwa in Kumasi, whilst on their way to allegedly rob the mining company at Hwidiem in the Ahafo region. The arrest, according to the police sources we have, followed a tip-off. Now, they've been charged with conspiracy to commit crime and attempted robbery. The 6 accused persons were arraigned before the Atisimanso Circuit Court on July 19 and remanded in custody and to reappear on July 26 today And what we do know is that the 3 military officers were remanded in military custody, whilst the 3 civilians were remanded in police custody. Though their pleas were not taken when they appeared in court today, the suspects were granted bail of 100,000 cedis with landed property and 3 sureties each. They will reappear in court on August 21. And let's get some quick updates on this matter. And my colleague Ibrahim Abubakar, who was in court earlier today, is joining me on the telephone. Ibrahim, what more do we know about this case?
Well, Alfred, so even though the suspects have been granted bail, we are told that they are in custody because they are yet to meet the bail requirement. So, that is it. If they are able to meet the bail requirement, they will be asked to go home. So on July or August 21, they will have to reappear before court. You've stated all the facts, and the police had to act swiftly, even though they did not arrest them in the act, but they acted upon intelligence and made those arrests. And when they arrested them, we were told that they retrieved several rifle of guns from them and other items. So for now, they have been asked to go home, but they have to meet the bail conditions before they will be set free.
Just for the uninitiated, what exactly are the basic facts of this case?
Well, so we were told that these are military officers, 3 military officers from the Central Command, and there are 3 other civilians. There are 3 other civilians, included a driver of the mining firms at Shidium Gold something mining firm. So the driver brought the case to them that the mining firm will be carrying a lot of money to the bank by bullion van. So they arranged to go and rob that bullion van on the way to the bank. But people intercepted some voice notes and conversation of that robbery, attacks and other things. And the driver was earlier arrested. He was able to tell the people, they were conspiring to commit that robbery with. And on July 5, whilst on their way to Shidium, the police acted on intelligence and arrested the 3 military officers and other 2 civilians at Ebuakwa in Kumasi.
Ibrahim, appreciate your time and some detail that you give us on this matter. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Ibrahim Abubakar is our Shanti Regional Correspondent. This is Hot Edition. We're live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. If you just joined us, the governing New Patriotic Party has held balloting for its flag bearer hopefuls ahead of the Special Delegates Conference on August 26. At the end of the balloting held earlier today, Kennedy Ohene Japan picked the first slot, that's number 1, followed by Alan Chomanting with the second position. Jogate follows third, Kojo Poko Nsafwa 4, Dr. Oswe Frigie Akoto number 5, and the 6th position occupied by Kwabene J. Japan. Francis Adainimo comes 7th, Dr. Kofi Kunedo Apreko 8th, Boachi Chomanting Ejakon 9th position, and Dr. Baumia is on the 10th position on that ballot paper. That's what we do know now. The MPP on August 26th cut down the list of the presidential aspirants from 10 to 5 as stipulated in its constitution. So that's what's happening now. And also we got quick updates from anti-corruption crusaders who are asking that the lifestyle audit of Cecilia Dapa should be expanded to cover 7 public officers, ministers, members of parliament, civil servants. Stay with us here. Let's get into issues beyond the borders of this country, as presidential guards are reportedly holding Niger President Mohamed Bazoum inside his palace in the capital, Niamey, in what neighboring countries called an attempted coup, but which the presidency described as an anti-republican movement. In vain. West Africa's main regional and economic bloc, ECOWAS, said it was concerned about an attempted coup d'etat and called on the plotters to free Bazoum. The African Union also condemned what it called a coup attempt and urged the felon soldiers involved to return to barracks immediately. So that's what's happening in Niger. But there's a man who's been following the happenings in Niger quite closely. Adib Sani, security analyst, also monitoring issues of terrorism in the West African sub-region. Adib, thank you so much for joining us on Hot Edition. What's your own take about how things are playing out in Niger so far?
Okay, so I have quite a number of people on the ground, and I've been following keenly what is going on. I've been speaking with some who told me that the president wanted to fire the head of the presidential guard, who, according to my sources, organized the presidential guard to attempt this coup. And as we speak, they've besieged the presidential palace. The rest of the army has, however, refused to go the same lane as the presidential guard and have given the presidential guard some hours to end the siege. If not, they would intervene militarily. So that is what the current situation is like. So Niger is on tenterhooks. People, especially in the capital, are on edge and patiently hoping that in the end the situation would be de-escalated. If not, this could be another Sudan at hand.
And we know that Niger itself has its own fair share of instability over the period. The AU, ECOWAS have all come out to condemn it. But beyond the condemnation, what do you expect from the regional bloc and the continental bloc?
Well, I would expect that immediately they dispatch a team to Niamey. But before they do that, they need to assess to be sure that their safety would be guaranteed. And hopefully they will be able to engage the two parties. I wouldn't want a situation where negotiations would break down, just as it broke down between the Army of Sudan and the Rapid Support Forces. Okay, and it's also a lesson for a lot of countries within Africa, forming armies from armies or within armies. Just like we had the 64 regiment in the past, which was more like the presidential guard. When Kufuor came, he disbanded it. When you go to, for example, Iran, they have the Revolutionary Guard, which is responsible for the ruler. Sudan, they also created the Rapid Support Forces from the army, which at a point felt more powerful than the army, just as it happened in Russia with Wagner, which at a point also felt more powerful than, the army. So if you offshoot armies, in the end, they would feel emboldened to the extent that they feel bigger than the state. Okay, so it's a warning. Let's keep one army rather than having multiple armies. And I'm hoping that they are able to negotiate and end this. If not, it will be cataclysmic to not just the security of Niger that has contended with militancy over the years, but the wider Sahel and West African subcontinent, because there's a lot of terrorist activities happening there. And once the country breaks down, then it is, what do we call it, an open playing field, so to speak, for the terrorists who might feel it is time to expand beyond, the borders of Niger.
Adib, I thank you so much for your thoughts. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Adib Sani is a security analyst and also a tourism monitor, also giving us details of what's happening in Niger. We have also been monitoring the happenings there, and we're also waiting for some further updates from the African Union on this matter. But a Ghanaian pastor based in the U.S., Kweku Jebi of the House of Prayer Evangelistic Ministry at Trifo Fasi, has been arrested by the police for allegedly engaging in illegal mining at Pewodia near Trifo Praso in the Chifo Etimokwa district of the Central Region. He was arrested following a formal petition by the Minerals Commission to get the suspect arrested for his alleged illegal mining activities in the area. The suspect is being held in police custody to assist with investigations. Also related to that, an Accra High Court will on October 12, 2023, set the date to deliver judgment in the case of Nwang, also known as Aisha Nwang, the alleged Galamsey Kimping. The court presided over by Justice Mrs. Lydia Osemafo has therefore ordered the state, led by Mrs. Yvonne Atakra Obobisa, the Director of Public Prosecution, to file her written address on September 20, 2023. It further ordered the defense team, led by Mr. Miracle Atachi, to file their written address before October 11, 2023. The court also ordered Aisha Wan to stop crying in the docket anytime she appears in court. Thank you.
Why is she always crying in court?
Yeah, the judge says that. Look,
it looks
stop
like a
crying.
technique for
It's
me.
not gonna move me.
I heard that Lord talking about it some few days ago, that
Since,
the judge asked her to stop crying. Really, Aisha?
Some way.
Good to be here, Alfred.
It's good to
I heard
see
you
as
mention my
always.
hometown.
Yeah,
Trifo Praso Atimokwa.
That's where you come from?
Inside there somewhere.
I see.
In between.
All right.
Somewhere there.
When was the last time you went to your hometown?
That was like last year, May, when I lost my grandma.
So it's only funerals that take you to your hometown?
If it's that was a critical funeral. But apart from that, I pray for them.
Go
when
home.
I pray, I remember everybody.
Go and
in my
visit
hometown.
home.
Shout outs to people in Trifo Praso.
They don't need shout outs. They need your presence.
Oh, I keep praying for them. God will keep them.
Let's get into business, shall we?
Thank you so much. This is Hot Edition Business Segment, and my name is Nana Ikuya Mensah Brampa. Let's get to the details of today's conversation. As Energy Strategist and Chief Executive of Eureka Energy Solutions, Dr. Yusuf Suleimana, has described as a defeatist stand the notion that pump prices could have been worse without the gold for oil policy. He has therefore raised questions about the effectiveness of the program in mitigating the impact of rising fuel costs on consumers. His comments follows the Bank of Ghana's stance on not reviewing the policy, which is contrary to the IMF directive.
I believe we haven't seen that. And even after the rollout of the policy, we've seen fuel prices went up several times in several windows, and with some occasional reductions in some windows. And of course, that also fed into the dynamics within the international market. Because bear in mind, it's not only the fuel prices, it's not only the exchange rate, we also have the international dynamics that will play a major role. And so, and to the extent that at this moment in time, I don't feel where I sit that the gold for oil has had that massive impact, on the pump prices. We may argue that probably it has stabilized the CD, it has stabilized the currency and stuff like that. But if you argue that way, I want to say that it will be a kind of a defeatist position in a way that, we wanted to have, to get it to reduce prices at the pump, and we are not seeing that much. And so until we see the gold for oil having substantive impact on reduction in prices at the pump, that it will be very difficult to convince people the efficacy, the potency, of the policy.
That was Energy Strategist and Chief Executive of Eureka Energy Solutions, Dr. Yusuf Suleimana. Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, Benjamin Boakye, has called on the Finance Minister to address the pressing issues within the energy sector during the 2023 mid-year budget review, which has been slated for July 31, which is coming Monday. Benjamin Boakye noted the need for coordinated efforts among stakeholders in the energy sector to confront the current power crisis.
This is electricity sector where we're supposed to sell power and recover revenues, and we have failed to deliver that over a decade. And the program highlights that the entire economy becomes unsustainable if we continue to behave the way we have behaved with the energy sector, where over the years, government has spent in the past 4 years an average of about $1 billion or $1.2 billion every year to cover the shortfalls in the energy sector. And if you look at government's own projections of business as usual scenario, that is if nothing changes or we continue to behave with the energy sector as we have been doing, we will be paying about 23 billion Ghana cedis this year to support the line to be on. By end 2026, we would have spent about 97 billion Ghana cedis. That is far more than what we have programmed in the same budget to spend on in key socio-economic sectors of the economy.
Benjamin Boache is Executive Director at the Africa Center for Energy Policy and a Director at the Financial Stability Department of the Bank of Ghana. Dr. Joseph France has cautioned banks to invest in technology in order to reduce the risk of fraud. He was speaking at the Ghana International Bank Workshop for banks within the sub-region.
With most banks lacking the requisite training in risks, the Bank of Ghana says it will demand of them to include technology in their training. Director of Financial Stability Department at the Central Bank says banks which fail to comply will be sanctioned.
We continually sanction banks for infractions, violations of regulations and regs and directives and all that. So that is a common phenomenon for the Bank of Ghana with our regulated institutions. Well, once we sanction you, we put in, you make sure you put in corrective measures.
Meanwhile, Ghana country representative at GAPE said the 3-day program will focus on enterprise-wide risk assessment.
In today's banking world, you need to make sure that you properly assess the risks that you face. If you do not properly assess those risks, you can make the money, but you lose it. What this program aims to do is to equip banks so that they can properly assess risk from a financial crime risk point of view. Once that is done properly, then when you do the business and you make revenues, you are confident that you will not have to lose those revenues because of the crystallization of some kinds of risk.
And that report entered for Business on Hot Edition. Remember to log on to 3news.com for more business news updates. My name is Nana Ikuya Mensa Abrampa. We have sports next. Oriko Ampafo is here.
Well, thank you very much, Nane Ikuya. We'll be starting off with some Premier League news, which I remember that the Premier League kicks off in just about 2 weeks' time, and teams are still involved in pre-season. But let's revisit last season, where despite Arsenal leading the Premier League table for majority of the season, the Gunners ended up succumbing to Manchester City, who made it 3 Premier League titles on the bounce. Mikel Arteta's men ended up losing the league title by just 5 points, and the Spanish coach says that nervousness set in the latter part of the season.
It's about that nervousness or insecurity or uncertainty in certain moments. I think that's related to a lot of key moments that happens, especially in the 3 consecutive draws that we have, that created a little bit of doubt in ourselves, because then we had more urgency to win, and I think it gave City a big platform to build momentum from they were coming from. So it was one thing really affected the other, and I think that had a really important effect on the outcome of the championship.
Well, Arsenal would still term last season as a bit of success as they return to the UEFA Champions League. But their London rivals, Chelsea, had one of their worst campaigns in almost 30 years, finishing 12th in the Premier League table. Now, new coach Mauricio Pochettino says that the team has to make a number of experienced signings to ensure that they climb back at the top. Chelsea have been heavily involved in the transfer market, signing young players like Angelo Gabriel, Nicolas Jackson and Diego Moreira. But the former Tottenham boss Pochettino believes that he needs a couple more experienced players for his team to climb up again.
Just in that midfield area, do you have a number in your head of how many more midfielders you need? Could you start the season with just one more new midfielder, or is that not enough?
Well, depend of the situation of different player. I think at least we need one more, and we are working on that. But I see it depend of what is happening in the next few weeks. We will decide and we will take a decision.
Well, before we go, just by way of update, from the Women's World Cup, where Zambia became the first African country to be knocked out of the World Cup after they lost 5-0 to favourites Spain in their second group game. It means that essentially they've conceded 10 goals in their first 2 games against Japan and then the European side as well. So Zambia have been eliminated from the competition, but there would be more chances for African sides to stake their claim in the competition when Nigeria face Australia tomorrow at 10 a.m. Other games also include Portugal versus Vietnam at 7:30 a.m. and then defending champions United States play Netherlands in a repeat of the 2019 World Cup at 1 a.m. That's how we wrap up the sport here on Hot Edition. My name is Rick Kwampafo. Up next is Entertainment with Akofa.
Thank you very much, Riku, for that one. You're still tuned in to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. And coming up on the entertainment news segment, award-winning singer and record producer Rocky Dawuni believes promoting music education in schools will encourage more people to see the craft as an important line of occupation. He spoke to 3 Entertainment at the Return Conversation, a creative arts dialogue organized by the Ghana Tourism Authority.
Aimed at boosting African unity and strengthening ties with Africans in the diaspora, the Ghana Tourism Authority and Beyond the Return, under the auspices of the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, through the Return Conversation, have led a series of activities to achieve their goals. The 2023 edition, themed on the role of film and music in uniting the global African family, assembled top industry stakeholders.
So we come together today with a shared purpose to celebrate our rich heritage, to connect our souls, and weave a tapestry of unity. What we are trying to do today is to make sure that as our brothers and sisters come, we try and bridge the gap through these sort of conversations, making sure that film people meet film people here, music people meet music people here, event people meet event people here.
Some speakers are sure that conversations are needed to create a new narrative about the African continent.
And I think that's very important. You know, I think most people of color around the globe feel a connection to the continent. But we also got to realize that we're stronger together, you know, and we have to control our own narrative. You know, the Africa that's being taught to us in America does not look like or feel like the Africa I'm experiencing today. You know, so that's a start, right? And then just figuring out how to connect us all, be it through the arts, through music, through film, but how do you connect all of the black and brown and start reinvesting into the continent and into Ghana, you know.
On his part, award-winning singer and record producer Rocky Dawuni believes promoting music education in schools will help create a vibrant musical environment that will attract more diasporans to the country.
What you call an environment, we need to also promote music education in schools. You know, that will be also expanding our pool of talent. Because I know when I was going to school, there were so many people who were talented as musicians that none of them really made it because the frustration and the struggle to really make it on their own was too much for many of them, and they didn't make it through. But I feel that if there is education system that values creativity, values music, and also sees it as an important line of occupation for people to take, and we also put in the structures too that will support this type of voice, then all of a sudden we are setting ourselves to succeed. And that's what I believe, that if we set ourselves to succeed, then we will succeed.
And you heard the award-winning singer and record producer Rocky Dawuni. Let's do some international news story where a London jury has found Oscar-winning actor Kevin Spacey not guilty of 7 sexual assault and 2 other sexual offenses against 4 men. The Hollywood star 64 had faced historical sex offense charges that allegedly took place between 2004 and 2013, during which time Spacey served as artistic director at the Old Vic Theatre in the British British capital. He pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. Spacey had tears in his eyes and thanked the jury after the panel found him not guilty. After 12 hours and 26 minutes of deliberation across 3 days, the jury returned today, Wednesday, and delivered its verdict that Spacey was not guilty on all counts. Spacey has won 2 Academy Awards for his roles in The Usual Suspects and American Beauty. He has returned to acting in recent years after leaving House of Cards. The actor starred in the Netflix series for 5 seasons before being fired in 2017 over allegations of misconduct on and off the set. Last year, a New York jury found him not liable for battery on allegations he picked up actor Anthony Rapp and laid on top of him after a party in 1986. That ends the entertainment news segment here on Hot Edition, powered by 3 Entertainment. My name is Akofa, and on behalf of Alfred and the entire production team, I'd like to thank you for tuning in every Monday to Friday right here on 3FM 92.7. And for more news, log on to 3news.com. The 3FM Drive team will take over now.
On this